Soybean Management Field Days are going on around the state of Nebraska. We've stopped now in Chapman, and one of the presenters, as always, Tina Barrett, who is Executive Director of Nebraska Farm Business. And Tina, as we talk, it seems like over the last couple of years you've brought different messages, but I think right now many folks are trying to figure out exactly where we are and where we're heading. And so what are you sharing?
Well, we're talking a little bit about the difference between our working capital problem that's creating our cash flow problem and kind of the immediate thing, which is really starting to increase the number of operations that's really affecting, versus that debt to equity, that we really have really solid balance sheets on for the most part still. So, so we have a little bit of a panic in that lending area of the business, but it's not huge yet for most operations.
Obviously, is interest rates low, non-existent? Is that really what's kind of saving us from maybe what we saw 30-some years ago?
Well, I think a couple things, and the fact that we've had some really great profitability times, so our balance sheets are much more solid than they've been in a long time. I think the important thing is going to be to stop the bleeding, or to slow it down as much as we can, and taking a look at those costs as much as we can, and really dissecting each one and trying to cut just a little bit off of everything, because we're not going to find a home run that's going to fix all of our problems in one swing. So it's going to be a battle, and it's probably no different than we farmed 15 years ago, where it was always a battle. It's just getting back into that mindset of really evaluating each cost.
A lot of folks are starting to be very concerned and voicing their concerns about how quickly this equity is going away. Is that a big concern for you, or is it cyclical, part of the big cycle?
Well, I think it is part of the cycle, but we can't continue for long, and so it's a matter of how do we stop that bleed? Because we've got some room to lose a little equity, we can lose a little working capital, but it's not long term. So I'm not seeing anything really on the horizon that's going to tell us that we're going to have that, unless we'd see a major weather event or something big in the world happens, which is always a possibility. But there aren't a lot of those things looking like they're coming.
You mentioned something a little bit earlier. One of the major lenders out there has come out and said, if you're going to want to borrow money for equipment, you're going to have maybe a better plan you have in years past for that combine, tractor, planter to say, will it really pay off? So with that, does that bring a little erosion of confidence in agriculture because of that we haven't been used to for so long, to have that type of scrutiny?
I think it is. It's been easy to make those numbers work, to make those balance sheets look great, to make those cash flows look like there's no problem in paying those things back, and that cash flow is tight. And I think we're going to have kind of that perfect storm finally happening, where we're going to have some higher taxes to pay because we can't replace that equipment and use the 179, and we're not going to have access to easy money from all kinds of sources, and people are going to start paying attention to what's going on out there. And so I think producers are going to have to take that ownership and really understand their numbers, because they're different than averages. I talk a lot about averages, but nobody's average. So we need to find out where each individual producer is, and have a plan. If you go into that lender with a plan, this is my cash flow, this is how I'm going to repay this debt, and it's all good, solid information, they're not going to have a problem.
Family expenses seem to be the one that maybe be the quickest, maybe the most painful, but is that I guess a place to start, is to really scrutinize what you kind of are keeping to live on?
Yeah, it's as important as fertilizer and seed, and as a part of the business. And farming is one of the few businesses where family living is really talked about as part of the business expense. But we're seeing a little bit of decline. We peaked in family living expense 3 years ago, but it's down less than 10%. And we just need to bring that down. And like I said, it is tough. And as a mother of four, I totally understand how hard it is to tell those kids we're going to cut back. But it's a matter of preserving that legacy that we have and is so valuable in agriculture.
There are challenges right now, but are there any silver linings that you can see?
I think, we talk about these things and the numbers don't look good, but it is not time to panic. It's just time to take ownership and take control of things, and really costs are something you can control, and you can work together. We've got, great resources for farmers out there, whether it's their agronomists and their marketing advisors and their lenders and financial management, help, and bringing that team together. They've got the resources. It's just time to manage tighter again.
So I guess not to put words in your mouth, but kind of to build that team together or to get that team ready so as soon as harvest is over, get that. Don't wait till the last minute as you plan to next year or plan for tax whatever thing. I mean,
Yeah.
don't wait.
Right. And actually, I think that's about a good time to start looking at 17 because those seed dealers and fertilizer dealers are going to be knocking on the combine pretty hard to get those decisions made, and we need to put that on paper and see how those things go, and so make sure that when we're making these input decisions that we're thinking how it's going to affect our bottom line and not our gross income. Because we don't want to spend more to increase yields when we're not getting enough back with these lower prices, and that's a different decision than it was 3 years ago. So starting to get that pencil pushing, and a lot of people haven't started their 16 books, let alone thinking about 17 books, but it's really important that we start looking at that.
Okay, so Tina, I want to find out more with you, talk with you to maybe help lay out a plan or to find the right people. How can they do that?
Yeah, probably the easiest is our website. It's www.nfbi.net for NebraskaFarmBusinessInc.net, and our contact information's all there, and more information about what we do.
All right, Tina. Well, thanks. Good for the update. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot.
Tina Barrett, Executive Director of the Nebraska Farm Business, has joined us near Chapman, Nebraska. I'm Ken Rogers.